Well, James, over to you.
Monday morning sports report.
Oh, sorry, start again.
Oh, jeez, yawning all over Mitch.
Hey,
No,
there's been a lot of sport to keep up with over the weekend. How did any of us find time to sleep over the weekend? All that Olympics coverage and coming out for the rest of us, having to watch some AFL, some NRL.
Can you talk some footy first of all, some rugby league?
Diet Coke while you do this a bit.
I know we were talking on the show about the Broncos, but I can't quite remember what you said. Have they got to win every game now, or what? Well, give me the maths on everyone.
Yeah, heading into last weekend's game when they had lost 6 straight, everyone's like they've got to win all but one. They've got one loss left in them before they're kind of done. And if that's still ringing true, which it kind of is, no, Buzz, you were saying, look, the Dolphins losing does kind of help because it keeps that 8th spot on the ladder just a little bit closer.
How many points are they on? I heard 32 points should get you into the top 8.
They're on 20.
Oh, God. What?
Yeah. But 8th position, it's a 3-way tie on 24 points. The Dolphins who are in the 8, and Canberra and the Dragons who are outside on, and then down at 11th, Newcastle on 22, the Warriors on 21, the Broncos and the Titans are on 20. So.
And the Broncos play the Titans this weekend.
This weekend, yeah, of course they do. It just happens to work out like that.
I want to see this because I heard on a podcast Brandon Smith was saying he was chatting to Harry Grant because the Bronx play Melbourne last game of the season. Obviously, there's some talk around Melbourne potentially resting players. But he said that Melbourne are more likely to rest players the week before because they fly to Townsville to take on the Cowboys. Right. And they won't want to make that journey with their squad, so they could rest players that game, which means the Bronx will have a fresh storm. In the last game of the season.
Well, just if he chooses to play.
That's what I mean. So, because
if he chooses to play, he rested him last week. I get what you're saying because they got the Cowboys. They're more.
Yeah. So Harry Grant reckons they'll play a full strength team against the Broncos and a weakened one against the Cowboys, which also wouldn't fare well for.
Just looking, I mean, this is the weekend of the Broncos. Like they've obviously got to win anyway. But looking at all the teams that are above them, the Dolphins, who are in 8th spot, they're over in Perth. It's a home game for them, but they're playing it over in Perth. They're against the Roosters.
Yep.
Roosters are on fire at the moment. In 9th position, you've got the Raiders. They are playing the Bulldogs at Belmore. Bulldogs are on fire at the moment.
So do we want the Dogs to win that?
Yep.
So we want everyone just above us on the ladder.
Yeah.
So keep winning.
Yeah.
Where are the Dogs on the table?
They're in 5th.
This could be a good weekend, actually, for the Broncos.
That's what I'm saying. In 10th position, you've got the Dragons. They're away to Melbourne. Okay. Melbourne, absolutely killing it on top of the table. Newcastle are next in 11th spot. They're away to Penrith. Also killing it at the moment. Then you've got the Warriors, who are right above the Bronx, and they're home to Parramatta. So of all those teams between 8th and above us in 12th, Warriors are most likely to get the win. Everyone else, let's be fair, anything can happen. Probably getting a loss because they're all playing teams in the top 4.
Yeah.
So it is a dream weekend for the Broncos. If they get a win, it really tightens it up heading into the final, 5 weeks of the comp.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not being a doomsday or anything like that, but
you don't want to be a team that scrapes in.
We could be like one of those salmon that fish up, that swim upstream.
Yep.
Make all those incredible leaps and finally, against the current, and you know what they do when they get up there? They die. Yeah. Like if they get there, what are we going to have left in the legs?
Well, Roosters did it last year. Same thing. But by the time finals, I think they won their last 6 to get into the semis.
Well, I guess winning breeds momentum.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
But to your point, they were. You could tell they're absolutely rooted by the end of it. Like they were exhausted.
Although I was going to say it did hold the Roosters in good stead that they started a lot better this year than what they did last year, and they've been one of the consistent teams in the competition. But then again, Brisbane had such a great season last year. Yeah. I don't know where it's all gone wrong.
I don't know. Like,
is there a hangover, do you reckon, from losing last year? Because, I don't
know.
Like, realistically,
we have had a lot of injury concerns.
But you had a pretty close to full strength side on the field on Saturday, and a must win game. Paddy's 100,
I know.
Kapow's 250. Like it was a game. I went there like ridiculously
get it.
confident. I did. Didn't you? Weren't you confident going into it? Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
More
thought.
confident. I said to you guys for last month, the Saturday afternoon game against the Bulldogs scares the hell out of me.
Yep.
But then I'm not just because of Renault, but Renault's a big part of it, and the way that the team bounced again away against Newcastle.
Yeah.
We're pretty strong at home, especially against teams that are doing poorer than they are, like we have been.
And Doggy's had some outs, like Stephen Crichton.
the day before
probably the
Paul's
best
out.
centre in the game,
Yep.
not there. No Josh Addo-Carr.
No, yeah,
A couple of forwards missing.
it was not pretty. And then talk about the.
What about the way that they just spread the ball?
Yeah.
They just had us stretched.
Yep.
Like that,
We looked gassed.
We could not contain them in down their end of the field.
And then-
they just
I watched
just
it from behind the goal.
owned field possession.
It looked so
Position.
it looked really impressive from behind the goal because you see the shape that they're running and almost Penrith-esque.
Yeah, they were.
You
Absolutely.
got to say that's good coaching, isn't it? Like from
Oh yeah,
Sorreldo, he's obviously identified that. For whatever reason, Brisbane, they compress when they're early in the tackle count. It's like, bugger it, we'll spin it wide, we'll see how we go. The way that they maintained the ball possession, in risky situations. It just kept paying. Like it was, by the end of it, it was like, oh, well, this is where they'll spin it now. And then they go straight back to the other side.
yeah.
And few things piss me off more watching footy than a bomb being left to bounce.
Oh,
Yep.
And when that one, and it looked
Jesse
like
Arthurs.
Yeah,
Mitch,
and
didn't you know that moment that there's no way that ball's going to bounce out? That ball is going to create an opportunity.
But even then, it wasn't like they caught it and just swung it out. They still had to sort of do a little bit of Houdini in themselves, and then the way they just pass it out, kick over, and it come out of absolute nothing. And it was that'll be a great try at the end of the year when they do the montage. But the fact that was the third try against us, I think, for the day, and it was like we're still midway through the first half here. This could be ugly. And it was only 6 points in it at half time, and it would still look like it was their game, the Dogs, but I did not see an absolute belting like that. And the disrespect of
field
kicking
goal?
a field goal in the final seconds of the game. You don't need that,
not
Matthew
on.
Burton.
It's not on.
I know you can kick a ball. You don't need to prove it like that. And to talk about the grand final, a lovely woman who sat next to me for the last couple of years, I still don't know her name. I only know that she gets real fiery during the Broncos game. Passionate supporter. And I think the third attempt at a short kick out, and she's just looking at me and she's like, you'd think after the grand final they would learn that doesn't work for them. And then actually that was after the second time. The third time I said to her, I had to remind her because she didn't even look. I said, look, we did get a hand on it, but we knocked it on. So I'd say, I know it's not just because of us, but also it's not working for us. This whole short dropout with no consequences, not penalties like it was up. Blight on the bloody game.
There was a dude
Blah.
probably 2 rows behind me
I hate it so
who was
much.
absolutely swearing at that as well. And then one point where Katoni Staggs got tackled, I don't know what he was. He let go of the ball for some reason. I think he thought maybe it was a.
I think his
a
knee was.
crusher or a-
I think
or
his
a-
knee was caught underneath.
Yeah.
and he was kind of appealing for hey.
He,
and-
but he let go of the ball, and when they showed it on the replay, all you hear is a guy go like swear, and then all I felt was Scotch and Coke come straight flying past me, and I turned around, and he's obviously had his drink and just smashed it into the ground.
Really?
Yeah,
Jeez, that's
yeah. My kids went home smelling like Scotch and Coke.
that's
Not for the first time.
No, yeah, usually it's Daddy's breath.
So, you would have started jizzing in the commentary box when Taupau.
It was a. I didn't think to myself before the game like. Cause he hadn't. I don't think he scored a try since 2022. So not in my time working for the Broncos has he scored. And I thought,
Really?
surely not. We've had a bit of sort of mutual respect between each other throughout the week, and I was like, I'll just keep the camera rolling on myself just in case. And in the 76th minute, I was a bit flat, but then I see him cut through, and I've just gone nuts.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely gone nuts. I'll put the video up hopefully later today.
The So at what point do you usually say Kapow? Because I noticed there was a couple of occasions where I think there was one part where he ran to the line and then shifted it, and you maybe went a little bit early. You went Kapow, but he didn't actually hit.
I try to hit the point of impact, but
Yeah.
also I don't want to go too early in case it's not his sort of like final
running
effort. In case
decoy.
if he breaks a tackle or something like that, or because I find myself like I'm watching him, especially like because where we were sitting at Origin is right next to my GA box in the far corner of the ground at the Milton end, and obviously the Broncos are kicking towards that end. From a long way away, you can't quite see it on my monitor, so I'm really like looking out for the dreadlocks, for the braids. I'm going, I need to time it right, and I do not want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going, sometimes a point of impact, sometimes waiting to see if he breaks through, just so it has a bit more sort of punch. But I kind of just have to make that decision on the spot.
It was cool though, sitting around.
Archie does that. Sorry, it was in the living room.
I was about to say, sitting
Yeah.
around a bunch of kids, like not my ones, but a bit older. Every time, just before you'd say it, every time Marty took a hit up, you'd hear like little scattered kapows before you did it on
That's
the.
fun.
Yeah,
It's fun.
yeah, it was good.
Archie does it, I know. Kapow.
Kapow.
And I'm like, I know that guy.
I made that guy.
I know the guy that does it.
I've asked the Bronx talking about videos. I asked them to get the footage from the big screen because when we little inside information when they get a loss like that, they don't get. It's not really stressed too hard a player of the match because it's obviously going to be a game day man of the match. But it was to Marty. Obviously, we made a big deal about Paddy and a little bit about Marty. He led the team up pre-game, post-game, especially off the back of the try. Let's talk to Marty. And he came up. We did a little chat. And then, mate, look, on behalf of 15 years in the top line of rugby league in Australia, a huge achievement. And I've swapped the microphone from my right hand over to my left, and I've put out. And I'm sort of looking at the camera. Went to shake his hand, and I've sort of then looked again to sort of back into the camera, waiting for him to shake my hand. Only to look down after 3 seconds, and he's waiting out with a fist bump. And so on the screen, I'm just not looking at him, but just sort of keep reaching forward and up and down to try and find his hand while not looking at him. And then he's there with the fist bump. And right at the last second, as I've went to change, he's went to change too. So then we had this thing, and then he starts laughing. They've just been pumped by 30 points, and I went, we're only joking. We'll do this when we're not rehearsing. Thanks, Mark. And he's just sort of walking away, and I was so
see the vision of that.
horrifically embarrassed by that.
I saw you do that interview, and I didn't see that handshake moment.
It was awkward. I buzzed up the stairs to the boss, Luke, who's next to Nick, and I said, please get that footage to Nick because he needs to put up on our socials on
That's
on
what that
Monday.
message was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got it?
Not yet, but we'll track it down.
Chase that down.
You know it's a
We'll
bad
track it
loss because usually there's all these kids waiting for the Broncos to do their lap of honour or whatever they do, and they didn't come around on Saturday, Arvo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, you don't show your face after a performance like that. Anything else? Did the Lions?
Straight after.
We'll focus on something a little bit more positive. The Lions have now got 9 wins in a row. They are flying up the moment. They
And
are
is Sydney 5 losses in a row?
4 of their last 5 they've
yeah.
dropped now. So again, they're still 1.5 games ahead in top place. But much like NRL,
What's the half? Sorry.
Draw. You get 2 points.
they've had a
4
draw.
points for a win, 2 points for a
They've had a draw.
They had a draw.
Oh, wow.
No, sorry, they didn't have a draw. The Lions have had a draw. So 1.5 games. Anyway,
Are we second on the ladder?
we are second on the ladder, just on percentage over Freo. Second and third is going to come down to those 2 teams there. So the Lions have 4 very winnable games to finish the season.
Is that all there is? 4 games?
4 to go. Then we got that week's break. That's where the AFL and NRL catch up. But all of a sudden things are looking very, very good.
Was there a bloke for the Gold Coast over the weekend in the AFL, the Suns, who kicked like 1 from 12 or something?
Yeah, Big Benny King's just having a bit of a rough time at the moment. He's a very good forward, but they take a long time to develop. It's funny, Eric Hipwood, who is the Lions' sort of much maligned forward, Brisbane had no backs this week. Had all out of defenders, so he had to swing back and play on Big Ben King, and somehow did enough of a job to get in his head and prevent him from scoring that much. So
He got the yips.
He got the
He's
yips.
like me putting.
Oh,
That's the way I
Ash,
He
100%.
kicks goals like I putt. It's all in the head.
Yep.
It's mental.
I made my return to local footy on Friday night, and my kicking, shocking. And once it's in your head, it doesn't leave.
Yeah.
It can be the easiest thing in the world, and you go,
You're done.
okay, just kick it into the trees. Just kick it into the trees. It's amazing. Once you're gone, like when you're on the green, you're done.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? That's about it.
Did I ruin the F1 for you this
No,
morning?
he
doing
knew.
my-
He
No, I
knew.
knew.
Good.
Okay.
I didn't because a bit of controversy going on there, or just post through who was it? It's
George Russell?
George Russell, right? Cross first.
Yeah,
won the race, Belgium.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to go home and watch it. But I don't think he had enough fuel left in his car.
Yeah, it was under.
That's great.
Underweight.
One job.
Yeah. I'd be going off.
Maybe you see someone break down the road.
What's
and
his
go, "That's
name?
your fault."
Horner? What's the guy? There's...
Toto Wolff is the Mercedes.
Oh yeah,
Boss.
no,
Name.
but any of the okay.
Yeah.
Imagine going up to Toto Wolff, going Toto.
So you got a jerry can?
I got the calculations wrong.
Well, it's actually Toto and his team stuffed George Russell around because they got the strategy wrong.
yeah.
So I think they drove for like 34 laps on one set of tyre. I even saw somewhere that he didn't have enough like rubber on his tyre or something. There's like a legal amount that needs to be on there because he drove so long on it. But he was he'd be devastated because he doesn't win many.
Where did Red Bull finish?
5th,
Oh,
I think 5th or 6th.
bizarre. I mean, they're unbeatable.
Well, that's what I mean. Like they lost wind tunnel time because of they cheated the cap a couple of years back, and so it's affecting. It was always going to happen. Like everyone knew they'd be really strong at the beginning, but they wouldn't be able to develop throughout the year as quickly as everyone else. And it looks like Mercedes and McLaren have come straight through because Oscar Piastri, the Aussie, came second.
Mm.
Oh.
What's he in?
McLaren.
McLaren. Yeah. So who are the Mercedes drivers now? Hamilton and Russell. Oh,
Yeah.
right. I gotcha. Okay.
And I think Verstappen's like 80 or 90 points away from
Yeah.
like ahead of Lando Norris, who's in second for the Drivers'
So
Championship.
he'll still win.
I think he
Verstappen will still win.
should. It'd have to be pretty catastrophic. Like I think Lando would have to pretty much win all the rest of the races, and Max would have to do pretty badly in them as well.
But it sounds like this season's a little bit more alive than the last
Definitely
couple.
getting better. Definitely
it's getting
getting better.
closer.
Yeah.
I'd prefer not to pay any attention to it,
Smart.
so that it doesn't ruin it for the next season of what's that one?
Drive
Drive to
to
Survive.
Yeah.
Well, this little him getting disqualified, that'll be a whole episode.
Oh yeah,
That's
that'll
gonna be
yeah. Can
dramatic.
You imagine?
Script writer's going to love
Yeah.
this.
I listened to it today. I didn't give a shit. But then in 7 months' time, when I sit down and watch the package,
Yeah, Feb next year.
I'll have a very firm opinion. I'll revisit it then.